All right, well, we're live right now. You've seen him on here before, Will Hill from VSiN and the Should Have Bet More podcast. Will, before we get in the NFL, I'm wearing my Baltimore Orioles hat here after our 7-run comeback against the Detroit Tigers
Ooh.
yesterday. What a wild, wild day of baseball. How about those Is?
Yeah, it's a team, and thanks for having me. Good to see you. It's a team that you and I think talked before the season. I was high on them. I thought there was a lot of reasons for optimism. It did not get off to a good start, to say the least. But it's an American League where very few teams are out of it, and boy, that might have been the knockout blow for Tariq Skubal being a Detroit Tiger, because it's almost like a tooth that was loose. And you just keep pulling on it, and it's like, all right, it's not ready to come out. That might have been the final kind of rip on the tooth to get it out, because it's hard to justify if you're the Tigers keeping him. And you know what, that might knock out one more AL wild card contender here. So a huge win, a huge comeback, and that might be the death blow for Skubal as a Detroit Tiger.
Yeah, we'll hop right in the NFL, but I did bet the Orioles money line just in case they scratch Skubal because, if you're going to trade him, there was no reason to pitch him in that game. So it ended up hitting Orioles money line like there was no doubt in my mind, right? Obviously, no doubt that wouldn't hit. But yeah, well, thanks for being on, man. So let's, I guess, start with a little bit of maybe some futures like win totals over and unders that you like. Just a couple that I'll throw out on my end. I mean, I'm very, very under on the Patriots, under on the Ravens, 11.5, and one that I've been targeting for a while is the Tennessee Titans. I feel like that might be a little trendy, but I like their over in addition to the Cowboys over. What are a couple of your favorites?
Yeah, I'm high on Minnesota. I think the team a couple years ago, it was fluky when they were 14-2, eventually 14-3, and you could just rewind to, I think it was the beginning of the new year in 2024 when they were playing Detroit for the 1 seed and they got destroyed. Yep. Darnold was terrible. The next week they play the Rams on Monday night. That went just as badly, just as ugly. Darnold changes teams. Vikings missed the playoff. Darnold wins the Super Bowl. From a Vikings standpoint, that's just typical the way things unfold for Minnesota. But that's a good roster. That's a team. They got really bad quarterback play last year, about as bad quarterback play as anyone in the entire league, maybe outside of the Jets. They still went 9-8. It's a good coaching staff. I think Kevin O'Connell is a little overrated. I think Flores, though, is a tremendous defensive coach, and overall, it's a good coaching staff. They've got skill guys, pretty good offensive line. I think they could have a very good defense. They kind of rolled the dice in the draft with Caleb Banks from Florida, who's boomer bust, a lot of talent, but he's hurt a lot too. I just think Flores has a lot of pieces, a lot of chess pieces here, and it's a division where you can kind of poke holes in teams. Green Bay not going to have Parsons for a while. They couldn't close games. They had their issues. Love is hurt a lot. Lions might have missed their window. I know it's a team everybody likes and for good reasons, but maybe they missed their window. And the Bears had a lot of comeback wins last year, a lot of close wins. So to me, Minnesota over 8.5, little over 5-1 to win the division, I think is a good bet. And I know the Falcons are dealing with some quarterback issues now, but to me, that's another team, a little over 4-1 to win the division. That's not a division where you're going to need probably 12 or 13 wins to win it. You might win it with, who knows, 9, 10. Last year, I think Carolina won it with 8.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another team. Skill guys, defense, if you can just get B-, C+ quarterback play, which might be asking a lot, but you know what? You get Tua in Atlanta, back indoors. He doesn't have to go play at New England, at Buffalo, at the Jets, on these cold weather venues where he really, to say he struggles is putting it kindly. I think Atlanta, and going from Raheem Morris to Stefanski at coach is just a massive upgrade. Even if you don't like Stefanski, that's a huge upgrade. Morris was just underqualified as a coach, is completely over his head. I think those two are good overs, and I think those are both pretty good bets to win the division.
I'm with you on the Vikings. I was talking to Joe Lisi last week, and I called them our Minnesota Vikings because they're like a drug wheel. I can't quit them. I bet them last year to make the playoffs. I was betting on Max Brosmer late in the year. You're exactly right with that division. And that's what we want to talk about a little bit on some of these like division bets. It's like at plus 540, I believe is what they said on VSiN this morning. That is great value for a division like that. So I guess betting wise, like it's easy for everyone to be like, okay, the Bills are winning that division, no questions asked. Like outside of a team like the Vikings, is there any other value you see in betting the divisions, or is it kind of a wait and see a couple weeks? Like what is your strategy for that?
You hit on it with New England under. And to me, it's, there's so many different ways to get it a handicap where it's like, all right, I want to fade the Patriots. Well, do I bet them to miss the playoffs? Do I just bet their under win total? I think maybe the cleanest way, not the cleanest way, but I think maybe the best value is Buffalo to win the division, just because New England can still have a decent year, get their 9 or 10 wins, and Buffalo can still win this division just because Allen missed the playoffs as a rookie 2018. Ever since then, you just go year by year. He doesn't get hurt. Knock on wood, not trying to jinx him. He doesn't get hurt. They don't miss the playoffs. They just, you rack them up 11, 12, 13. It's just a regular season wins machine. As much as he's fallen short, they've fallen short in the playoffs, and you can point fingers at it's Allen's fault. Is it the defense, special teams coach, whatever? It's probably a mix at times of all of the above. He is a dominant regular season player, and the Patriots schedule goes from what it was last year, which was as soft as anyone has ever had an NFL schedule, to a really tough schedule. Now, you do get the Dolphins and the Jets that combined 4 times. That's probably 3-1 or 4-0. You can never just count anything in the NFL as a win, but other than that, it's all the first place teams, all the NFC North teams. You get the Chiefs, you get a bunch of really tough. You get the Seahawks right away on the road to start the season, and then throw in the Super Bowl hangover stuff, the Vrabel stuff, which maybe it's a distraction, maybe it's not. It's certainly not a positive. You can't spin that and say, "How well that's a positive, that'll help them." It's either bad or it's nothing. So I think there's a free roll element there. So to me, Bills to win the division, minus 125 or so to win the AFC East. I think that's a very solid bet.
Yeah, it seems like that number should be higher based on everything that you're saying. And I remember I texted you when you were on your show, like right after the Bengals got sexy Dexy, and I said, "Hey, I'm all in on Cincinnati to, not only win that division but win the AFC." If you look at their roster compared to the favorites in the AFC, you got the Ravens and the Bills are the co-favorites. Where are they much better than Cincinnati? I mean, you look at Cincinnati's defensive line now. You look at how they improved at safety, and I mean that offense. When Joe Burrow is healthy, they're 37-10. Overall, when the defense gives up 25 points or less. I mean, I know Cincinnati is a little trendy, and we just saw Shamar Stewart get hurt, but plus 180 to win the division, and anything on the AFC that you might play for them?
Too trendy for me. I got to see Burrow stay healthy. I mean, this is not, once in a while he gets hurt. He's hurt every year. You could say some of it's bad luck. Maybe it is, but I got to see the defense be better. I don't love the coach, and I don't love Burrow staying on the field. And everybody seems to just be in on it. So maybe you're right. Maybe everyone will be right, but nothing for me. Not that I want to bet the Ravens. Not that I want to bet the Steelers. Cleveland at like 25-1 to win the division is probably a donation, but I don't have any bets right now in the AFC North. I don't.
So how about we can talk about the South. I know you mentioned the Falcons, and I think kind of a division that is completely wide open. The team that I like that's probably a year away is the Tennessee Titans, but they're not going to be that way up this year where all the teams just sweep them in the AFC South. So, you got Houston coming in with CJ Stroud and the question marks about him. Jacksonville trying to duplicate it when Jacksonville's never repeated success, and Daniel Jones kind of iffy. Not that the Titans can win that division. Can they make some noise? And is it still Jacksonville and a 2-horse race between Jacksonville and Houston, or do you think the Colts can sneak up?
I wouldn't be shocked if the Titans won the division. I'd be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked, just because I do think that's a pretty good coaching upgrade. The guy that last year that had the job, I'm losing. Oh, Callahan, who got fired, halfway, maybe week 6 or week 7, actually hit that one first coach fired. He was awful. They were just so poorly coached. I haven't watched the quarterback series, but everyone seems to love the makeup of Cam Ward, where he's hard on his teammates. They win, but he's, yelling at them, "Hey, we didn't play well. We need to play better." I like that leadership aspect. I think Brian Daboll will do a great job with the offense. He runs his, he wears out his welcome with places. Seems like he's too intense, but he's a really good offensive coach, offensive mind. I think Robert Saleh, the head coach, will be a little bit better this time around. Now that he's out of the dumpster fire with the Jets, probably learned something from his first trip. I mean, people always use the term retread, but these guys, hey, if you're smart and you can learn and just get the chance to do it over again, we've all had a job where you get hired and you learn on the job. And if you get another shot to do it, you'd be better the second time around. I think there's an element of that too with Saleh, who's a good defensive mind. So the Titans jumping up and getting to like 9 wins and competing for a wild card spot, maybe, flirting with a division. I don't think any of that is crazy. So, I know it's a team that's burned money in a hole in people's pockets, in recent years. Not only bad straight up, but bad against the spread. But I could see the Titans bouncing back here and being a little bit frisky.
Well, I'm in Circa Survivor for the first time this year, and I'm trying to talk myself out of betting the Raiders, Will. So I'm going to need a little nudge to not take the Raiders in week 1. So that's another team that I think could kind of get going there. But I want to talk a little bit about props here. So I remember a couple weeks ago, I was texting a buddy, and I had about 13, 14 props that I liked. Is there a strategy that you have for betting them? Because I was getting obscure guys like a Luther Bird and a Amarian Hampton, who's not that obscure, but like I just saw something about Parker Washington, his over under being like 750 yards. Like, do you think there's any advantage of the more obscure guys where maybe the books are a little bit lower on them versus kind of like your Justin Jeffersons and your Jamar Chases? And I do think Jefferson could be in play with the quarterback play to lead the league in receiving this year. That's a play that I kind of like too. But just any thoughts around that?
It used to be a lot easier to win, unfortunately, where you would just blindly bet pretty much everyone under their season-long prop, and you do well because guys get hurt, guys get benched, and I don't think that was really properly accounted for in the line. Now they've gotten smarter about pricing this stuff where these guys, as long as they play 15, 16, 17 games, they're probably going to go over. So you're not even really making a bet on performance that much. You're basically just making a bet on availability and how many games they're going to get hurt, where they miss 4 or more games, yeah, you'll cash your under. But if they don't miss 4 or more games, you're probably going to be looking at an over. And again, he used to be able to hit. I think the number for a while was in the 60s in terms of percent. If you shop around and you just blindly played unders, you did very, very well. Now, people don't want to do that. People want to root for Jefferson to have catches and yards. People don't want to root for 3 catches and 35 yards. They want to root for the fun stuff. But that provided value on the under. It's just it's gotten harder to win with that. I think they're becoming a little bit smarter pricing this stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, what people don't realize, I think I did the math, like 17 games. If you have any running back that's 1,000-yard over under, I think that's 56, 57 yards a game. If you're staying healthy and you're starting running back, to your point,
Yeah.
you're hitting that, right? Like a receiver might be a little bit harder because someone needs to get you the ball, but like a receiver at 700 yards, that's even less that they need to average per game. So they have 150-yard game. You're getting a couple games worth right there. So just stuff to factor in with the math. And like you said, yeah, the availability is a major factor in there. Is there any prop that you're on already or that you're going to be on that stands out to you?
I have not played any props yet. I remember last year playing Stafford under with all the reports. He's back. This is bothering him, and then he goes out and has a lifetime season, wins MVP. So, like I said, they've gotten smart about pricing it. So I've stayed away. I'm sure by the end or by the time the season starts here, I will have stuff. But right now, nothing in the accounts. Just just at that point of the season where World Cup is over, NBA and NHL finals are over. It's the dead of baseball. So this is the time where still got a little time between now and the start of football season. I'm going to I'll ramp it up, but I would say this is a general betting strategy. If you like the over, probably just wait until the season starts or about to start, because the last thing you want to do, you want to bet whatever player and he gets hurt in training camp. You're still on the hook at a lot of books for that number in that over, and you at least want to get your guy to week 1. So if you're going to bet the over, at least wait till close to the season to make sure he's good to go once the season starts. And you know what? If he gets hurt during the season, that's the cost of doing business. That's part of the game. But it's just tough as a bettor when you bet somebody over, let's just say right now, and end of July, early August or whatever, and then he gets hurt in the middle of August, and your bet's kind of dead on arrival there. That's a tough one.
Yeah, because I mean, those numbers really aren't going to fluctuate that much unless a new quarterback happens to come in or someone gets hurt, right? Like if, say, Mendoza becomes the starter for whatever reason, and you have the Raiders props, like, is Brock Bowers going to go down, kind of by a significant amount? And I actually think Mendoza, everything under for him is, I think people should play. Anyone who's betting over for him, I don't know how many games he's going to get. I think they're going to ride Cousins until at least 6, 7, 8 games. So I'll go under a lot of Mendoza. But do you think outside of to the factors that you're talking about, will there be that much fluctuation where it's safe to just kind of bet someone right now, right? Like there's probably not going to be much of a, besides a couple of yards, depending on the book, right?
I think your point is probably accurate, and you always obviously want to get the best of the number, but with this season-long stuff, you're either going to win your bet by a lot or lose it by a lot. I mean, chances that, let's just say it moves 20 yards, could move 20 yards in your direction or 50 yards or something. That's probably not going to come into play with a season-long prop, just because, if your guy's healthy, you're going to win it. If he's not, you're not going to. So I don't know. It's one where the margins are as thin here. I think that's one you go way under, way over anyway. So it's not as important, even though you do always want to get the best of the number.
And then anything on like an MVP or coach of the year, I mean, obviously those are kind of similar, right? Like, do you wait and see and kind of, especially I feel like it's like the Heisman a lot. Like if there's a quarterback that you like, he has a bad game or two, it's like maybe the value can go better for him. Like I have a parlay with Joe Burrow for MVP, Jahmyr Gibbs, Offensive Player of the Year, and Robert Saleh, Coach of the Year. And I kind of regret putting it in already, because why not wait and see if you could get the best of those numbers? Anyone that stands out to you on any of those markets or any Rookie of the Year, anything?
One bet I have made for Coach of the Year, and this is contrarian. This is not usually how I handicap the award. Sean McVay at 40-1 seemed a little long to me. I know this always goes to, or usually goes to, the team and the coach of the team that overachieves, that, they're supposed to win 6 or 7 games and they win 10 plus and they make the playoffs. There's also another path to winning. That's just with having a dominant season. We saw Belichick win this with the Patriots when they went 17-0. We saw Harbaugh win this with the Ravens when they went 14-2 in 2019. Let's just say the Rams, it's week 8 and they're undefeated and they're beating everyone by double digits. That 40-1 is probably going to be, 4-1, 5-1, and then you're cooking, and then you can either hit a cash out, which I usually wouldn't recommend, play some other people, let it ride. I just think there's a possibility that maybe the Rams just have a dominant, 15-2, 16-1 type of season, and there's not that sleeper team out of nowhere, and McVay can win this with dominance. Plus, you know what? Stafford's an older player. If he missed 3 or 4 games and Ty Simpson comes in and goes 3-1, then all of a sudden it's, wow, McVay's the star of the team. He can win with everybody, and that narrative starts to pop up. I just thought McVay at 40-1 for Coach of the Year was a little too long.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And I kind of felt the same way about Kyle Shanahan a lot, right? Like, I feel like he just says people just assume, hey, the Niners are good. They're there. They're not as dominant as the Rams are, but it's people that you don't think about. Like, everyone just gives McVay a pass for being good. So I like that number there. I like that thinking of yours. I remember when the number first came out, Jesse Minter was the favorite. And I'm thinking this guy hasn't coached one NFL game. And if you look at, he was at plus 550 and someone like a Joe Brady was like plus 1100. And to me, it's like, what's the difference between those two? I mean, they were both good coordinators and they're both coming into good teams that are projected to win. So I think that's where you can find value like that too, right? If you like one guy who's basically the mirror image of another coach, like why not just take the guy at the plus 500 or plus whatever value? So I really like your thinking with McVay there. And, the Rams, I think it's obviously got to be their year. I know some people are lower on them. It's going to be kind of hard to duplicate it in Stafford to have another year. But do you think the odds-on favorite? I mean, if you had to put your money on it, is that where you would go to win the Super Bowl, or is there anyone else that you might like, especially out of the NFC?
Yeah, I don't know that there's value there. It's interesting. I can't remember a year where the Super Bowl champion got this much kind of forgotten about, where you could kind of call them a sleeper. Nobody's talking about Seattle. Everyone's, Darnold, it was a one-off, which maybe it was. I mean, we saw Toronto in Major League Baseball almost win a World Series. It took kind of a miracle for them not to win it, and then they just went back to being what they were the previous years, and it looks like just kind of a one-off. It was a great year, ended short, but I don't know if that's going to be that for Seattle. I just think it's interesting that nobody is talking about the Super Bowl champions. Again, I have no bets on them. I just thought that that was interesting. It's the teams I mentioned. Minnesota in the 50-55-1 range. Do I think they're winning the Super Bowl? Probably not, but could you get them to like a second round NFC title game, that kind of thing? I wouldn't be shocked if you got Minnesota, with a somewhat deep run here in the playoffs with that roster, if Murray can stay healthy and just be an average-ish quarterback. So Minnesota, I think, has some value there in the futures.
And one thing that we know about the NFL is that nobody knows, right? I mean, we're going through schedules right now saying this team's got an easy schedule, this team has a hard schedule. It's like, what if the team with the easy schedule becomes someone else's easy team on their schedule? You never really know. So if there's a team that you like that's sitting at a good number, like you said, grab it now. Minnesota, and when they're in the playoffs, you can just kind of hedge accordingly and do whatever. So I think this is going to be completely wide open in the NFC and the AFC. So like you said, the wait and see game, I think, is the best way to do it, and just kind of enjoy training camp, take all the information, and, as always, right, shop around, go to different books and kind of do different things. So what do you think the Yankees are going to do at the trade deadline? You think they're going to do anything significant?
Probably get a catcher. If I had to guess, somebody like Jeffers, Ryan Jeffers, the Twins catcher, probably a reliever. I don't know if they'll get Mason Miller. I don't know if Mason Miller is going to go. I mean, we go into play Thursday here. Padres only game and a half out of the playoffs. Probably a reliever, probably Jeffers, and I would say that. I don't know that a big splash is coming. It's hard. It's hard to find offense. Everyone's like, get a bat, get a hitter. There's not that many out there. There's not that many teams that are sellers, and these hitters are precious. It's almost like it's flipped from what it was 10, 20 years ago, where it's like, man, pitching is gold. You got to overpay to get it, but you can get hitters. Now, man, it's hard to find a guy that can hit 275 with a little power is not that easy. There's not that many good hitters out there. It's a sport where, all the numbers are suppressed. I think I saw the stat, only 4 guys are hitting over 300. Yep. But I'd say Ryan Jeffers in a reliever. I'd say probably no big splash. Maybe they get Miller and just, kind of pony up the prospects. It'll take a lot to get him. There's going to be a lot of teams interested. I think him going to the Pirates would be a ton of fun, but I'll say they get a reliever, they get Jeffers, and it's that kind of deadline where they just try to plug the holes and just wait for Judge and hope Judge comes back relatively soon, which I don't know, September 1st, Labor Day, that kind of timeline for Judge. And then get hopefully catch Tampa and go from there.
Yeah, we'll see what the Orioles do. But where can everybody find you at Bet Bash? So obviously you're going to be out in Vegas. What is it? August 2nd to 4th or 3rd to the 6th? When is Bet Bash?
Yeah, I don't. That's funny. I will be there, but I don't know when it starts. I will be there from I think Monday to Friday, so I'll
Okay.
be around. Tweet me. I'll be doing some podcasts, so looking forward to it. It should be a lot of fun.
How many episodes of Entourage do you think you're going to watch in your room? I know you mentioned something about what if you went to Miami, you'd just be catching up on Entourage in your hotel room. How many episodes do you think you knock out when you're out there?
It's a good question. I heard it's going to be very hot, which shocker. It's going to be hot in Vegas in August, but I heard like 110 to 120. Those don't even seem like real numbers, real temperatures. So I will be plenty. I will be inside plenty. I will spend plenty of time inside, man. That is way past the point where I can handle that kind of heat, man.
I was expecting to see you out at Stadium Swim, but anyway. So if you are listening to this and you get the chance, Bet Bash is awesome. You meet great industry people like Will. Just everybody's super nice in the industry. They're all about helping everybody else out, and it's great advice, great forums, things like that. So if you do have the chance to get out there, I've never been. I'm looking to go next year, but my birthday is actually Friday, August 7th. So it would be nice if I was out in Vegas, but instead I'll be in West Virginia golfing. But Will, thank you for the time. Let everybody know where they can find your podcast when you're on and where else they can find you.
Should have Bet More podcast, wherever you get your podcast, Fox Sports. You can check out my columns, then VSiN a few times a week and once in a while on this podcast with you.
I appreciate it. Awesome. Well, thank you for the time.
Of course.
See ya.